Thank you for staying with us. Let's start with disturbing stories regarding banditry ravaging Nigeria. Rather than sticking to the collection of ransom, bandits now rob their female victims of their future. Reports indicate that about 13 girls of the abducted students of Federal Government College, Buni-led, Kebbi State, have been married off by some of them already pregnant. Some of the parents said the kidnappers sent them footages showing that their daughters are already married. This is very sad to hear, Jude. This is very sad.
Yeah, but this is what usually happens when they kidnap young women.
These are girls.
Yes. When they kidnap young women, this is what they do. This same thing happened with the Chibok girls, and of course the Dapchi girls. Leah Sharibu, I was told by a very reliable source that she was married to Abu Musab al-Banawi. So this is what they do, and that's to tell you that there's really no difference between Boko Haram terrorists and these bandits, because they are behaving the same way. They see women as part of the spoils of war. And when negotiations drag on and on and on, then this sort of thing will happen. Because those children were kidnapped June 17, 2021. And as we speak, there are still about 14 of them left with the bandits, including a boy. So they targeted the girls, got them pregnant, and in fact, so wicked were these guys that they sent 3 girls back to their parents already pregnant. It's difficult to take this kind of nonsense going on in our country. It's extremely difficult, because I ask myself as a parent, how will I feel?
Father
if this sort of thing happened to me, how will I feel?
The country has, you know, that everything, that the environment, the people that you are relying on to protect you, they failed you.
Yes, and that school shouldn't have been on at that time. That school shouldn't have been on. I understand that the state government spoke with the federal authorities that they should shut the school. But they kept saying, look, the exams were here, let them finish the exams. It was the same mistake that we made with Chibok. We never learn. We never learn. The exams that they sat for in Chibok should have been done in the state capital. But sometimes we deceive ourselves that if we have like 10 soldiers guarding a place, that is security. Do you know how many fighters they are bringing? Because that was a mistake made at Chibok. The school was protected. But by how many soldiers? Soldiers who were simply overrun by Boko Haram fighters carrying the same weapons that they were carrying. But in terms of number, there were dozens more than the soldiers that we put there. So since you don't know how many of those fighters are coming, how many bandits are coming, there's no need to take that risk. Shut the school, let the exam take place, let the student go and sit for the exam somewhere else. Look at the lives of those children now in ruins. In ruins. Is it a crime to go to school?
Sam, 13 of these girls, as a father, will be paid, and it shows the kind of premium we give, you know.
It's a very sad development. Very sad, but not a totally strange phenomenon. Just as Jide had said, these young girls, you know, have often been considered as spoils of war. It dates far back, you know. An unconfirmed report sometime in 2015, you know, had said that out of 234 female captives rescued by the Nigerian Army, 234. 214 were said to be pregnant as far back as 2015. It just tells you, the monster, that has confronted us as a nation. One can only imagine the trauma of parents. I mean, I have a female child. In fact, 2. I don't want to imagine that I would lose them to some idiots somewhere. You understand? These girls are being raped.
Yes.
All right? And turned to sexual slaves. You need to imagine the scenario. One can only imagine what's gone wrong with our society.
Psychological effects.
It's terrible.
Nobody ever recovers from this.
So if as back as 2015 we had such figures being bandied around as number of female captives released, but confirmed said to be pregnant, it just tells you how bad it is. They pick them up, make them slaves. In fact, at some point, remember, Shekau himself had boasted. Yes. When talking about the Chibok girls, that most of them had been married. And there was nothing anybody could do about it.
They said it was a lie.
So,
but are they not coming back pregnant now? Are we not seeing them?
But how long will this nonsense last? We can't continue to live this way in the 21st century. Girls being picked up and turned to slaves.
This thing is getting worse.
It is.
Now, in Kebbi South last weekend, in the same local government where they killed people the other day and we reported it here, a wedding was taking place. The bandits had drumming and maybe some frenzied drumming, associated with happiness at a wedding venue. Then they moved to the venue and took away the bridegroom and the wedding guests. As we speak, they are yet to contact the families of the victims, as we speak. And this is their style. They will not contact anybody for some time, so that you are already worked up, you are very apprehensive, your dam of emotions about to break. That is when they will
when they ask for a certain amount of
ransom, bring 100 million. This is what we are saying. People can't do wedding in Kebbi South. I'll mention the name of the town in the course of the program.
Domestic airlines operators have increased airfares on domestic routes by 100%, with effect from the 1st of March 2022. This is as a result of high cost of aviation fuel and inadequate supply of dollars with which they transact businesses. Sam, now domestic, that means if I was doing Abuja from Lagos, 35,000-40,000 before, that means I might be paying 80,000, 100,000.
Yeah,
100%.
The latest report I read said that a flight Lagos to Abuja now will cost about 100,000. In fact, the cheapest flight you can get is 100,000. One can only imagine what Nigerians are going through. Rising prices all over. You can't get fuel for your cars, and if you have to go by road transport, you're paying almost double because, the
risk.
Yeah.
If I have to go from here to Abuja.
Exactly. But again, we need to face the facts, Ayo. We are rejoicing that the price of crude in international markets is going up. But the downside of it is that the refined products that we bring into the country
to increase.
Come at very high price.
The landing costs, the production costs.
Interestingly, the price of aviation fuel is not subsidized. And so operators within that sector have to buy, aviation fuel at very high cost. And these costs are going to be, transferred to passengers. That is what we are seeing at the moment. And that explains why government itself is a bit, hesitant about removing petroleum subsidy, for the use of, for cars. So it's a burden we have to bear. And I read somewhere that government is complaining that they were not informed. airline operators are not charity organizations. They have to recover, the cost of operation and make some profit on it. So that's the reality that we face. The fundamentals don't look good, all right, but they also have to survive. The alternative is to shut down.
This is leaving the reach of on average Nigerian, the middle class now. As in,
Yes.
also have to cough out 100,000 naira to go to Abuja.
Yeah. Right now, apart from short trips, maybe like Abuja to Kano, even that one is not going to be less than 38 to 40,000. Just Abuja to Kano. But Lagos to Abuja, the minimum you get to be around 50,000. Airline is a deregulated sector. Airlines charge what they want. Some airlines, their fares are lower, but even at that, given the fact that aviation fuel, they said in Lagos is 410 naira per liter, but in Abuja is 422. You know that in Maiduguri it will be higher. So as we go deeper into our country, from Lagos, as we go further from Lagos, the higher it becomes. We analyzed this the other day, and we were talking about how much they sell aviation fuel in the respective big towns in our country, Port Harcourt and the rest of them. It is in Lagos that you get it cheapest, and of course we know why. Because of the port here, the access to the port here is close, and then
Cost of transportation
you
will
can
not
have
be like
access to.
Maiduguri.
Yes, before it gets to that place, because they want to transport it by road and all that, so they have to factor everything into the cost of doing business. And these airlines are saying, look, the alternative is debt, that they had been struggling. You can't access foreign exchange. Some of them have to pay as much as 580 naira to $1, because when it's not available, then you have to now buy at a premium. So if things continue the way they are, I don't see how even some of these airlines will not fold up. And when we had recession, our last recession, it was the agri sector and the aviation sector that recorded positives. All other sectors were in the negative terrain. So if we do not do our best to save this sector, to save domestic airlines, then we'll be in trouble. Are we going to open our eyes and watch foreign airlines come in to operate within the domestic environment?
If they come in, they still have to operate profitably.
Yeah, but they have solvency that these ones don't have.
True.
They have solvency. And in some cases, even foreign companies will protect will provide some form of, financial support for companies that they have interest in. Look at what the UAE is doing to Emirates. Emirates is heavily subsidized by the parent, by the country itself. So we can't go on like this. Every sector is gasping. But we will come and hear that, we are doing very well, GDP is growing. The more things get expensive, the more people refrain from patronizing it. For example, I used to buy a bottle of granite for 300, 350 a few months back. Today I wanted to buy and they told me 750.
Yes,
so I've stopped buying.
So you're staying off granite.
I've stopped buying. It's as simple as that.
Jumped to 500.
You won't come into my office and eat granite the way you used to eat. It's not there anymore. And that's how it is with many people. Because of this now, many people will go off flying. Because some people are always watching out for cheap tickets, maybe in the region of 25 to 30 and all that. Well, if it's not available, what are we?
God blesses the one town somewhere.
Huh? So what do they think? Are the roads safe? Are the roads safe? Are bandits not locking on our highways?
That's another factor. Security.
That is the thing. In Ose local government in Ondo State, criminal headsmen are harassing people. They are killing people. A lot of it don't even get reported.
Yes.
But this is the thing.
You've chased them away from their land.
Yes.
Jagba.
Come into people's community, chase them away, rape their women. I mean, it's so sad.
If news from the federal government can be relied on, the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, may soon end. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, is set to convene a meeting aimed at resolving issues surrounding the strike. Meanwhile, the registrar of the Joint Admissions Matriculation Board, JAM, Professor Isiaq Oloide, said the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System, IPPIS, is unsuitable for the Nigerian university system. He says ASU has a point on that. You know, we've been saying this before, that ASU had to devise their own, the UTAS, and that's the kind of work they do. Lecturers, quite flexible. It's not, you can't rank them with other civil servants that they want to use IPPIS for.
I am particularly delighted that someone like
Isiaq
Oloide
has been in the system,
who was never a fan of ASU, who mobilized the workforce in his school, the University of Ilorin, to not even take part in ASU strike. We are seeing him talking in this manner. That means he's saying nothing
but the truth,
but the absolute truth.
Will be objective.
Yes, he was never their fan, and they were never his fan. Uniloni was not taking part in ASU strike. Yes,
they don't.
For years, you know. So everyone knows that within the university system there's need for flexibility. A lot of our professors today are products of training abroad, by way of sabbatical, by way of residency and all that. If you now say, oh, everyone must be enrolled on IPPIS, IPPIS doesn't offer that flexibility. As far as IPPIS is concerned, you are a staff of one university, and that's the only way. You cannot be paid SWIS. You can't be paid SWIS. And when this thing happened, you know, lecturers were, in my view, unceremoniously enrolled on IPPIS. It's like you just railroaded everyone, you put them there. When they complained, you then said, okay, try a homegrown system, because this is IPPIS is a World Bank payment platform. You said, try your own homegrown system. They devised the UTAS. The UTAS was assessed by federal authorities or federal agencies, and then passed fit, passed good enough. But after that, you started vacillating. You do not want to.
Is that not zero motive? Why?
They just want everybody
to go through that. You see that the one they've designed for themselves.
You are the one who said, okay, if you say you don't want this,
come up with an alternative.
ASU spent more than 30 million designing this UTAS, a homegrown system, against the one that the World Bank gave us.
You have more options.
You now said no. You have been reluctant to accept. Now, this strike ordinarily would not have happened. You and I know that the strike was was suspended. I don't want to say called off, because it was not called off. It was suspended in December 2020. And since that time, this issue has been on. You signed a memorandum of action, which you have refused to implement. Why do you get into agreements that you know in your heart that you are not prepared to implement? Although it's good news to hear the minister say he's going to talk to them, because you asked me that question the last time we discussed. You said, what is the solution? I said the solution was for him to call ASU. He shouldn't agonize. Call ASU to another meeting. Now, the ASU guys are saying that up till now, there is no official invitation extended to them for a meeting. But they are all...
They're incommunicado. I couldn't reach them.
No, see, everyone knows that that's not true. They are in Abuja now. What ASU and the labor leaders usually do is, when there is a strike, they relocate from their bases to Abuja, because they know there could be a meeting anytime. You know, some of those meetings are even midnight meetings. There could be a meeting, there could be an emergency. So once they are in Abuja, they are ready to meet. So as we speak now, they are in Abuja, awaiting the formal invitation.
So why the politics?
Because once, no, I don't know what the delay is all about, but we want the best for our children. And people who have trained children of these people in government, they too deserve a good deal. It's not, a teacher should get his reward on earth. It is only in Nigeria that we do not treat teachers fairly. Elsewhere, teachers are rated far better than bankers and other people. In our country, we think that teachers are the dregs. They never do well. They are the people that we should not even afford give our attention to. It is wrong. People train other children and give them the knowledge that they need to be useful to themselves in life, to become millionaires, to become entrepreneurs, to become employers of labor. They too deserve a better deal from a country like this. This is why I support ASU, and I have no regret. I have no regret, because my own parents were teachers. So teachers deserve a better deal. If politicians are getting by enjoying our country the way it is, the way they are, so who says teachers are the people who should not enjoy?
With O-level specification.
Yeah, no, some don't even have ordinary NEPA bill as certificates. Some don't have anything.
Sam, when you look at it now, the effect is to be telling on the education system. You know, the call up for NYC, the mobilization, you can't just project that, 4 years. So the effect is in the public schools, state universities, federal universities, people will start avoiding it to migrate to these private schools.
I like the fact that you are making reference to numbers, and that's very important. I think we joke a lot as a people. It's only in Nigeria that a minister will tell you that he's looking for members or leaders of a trade union. The last time I checked, in the last 20 years, between 1999 and 2020, Nigerian lecturers had been on strike for 50 months.
50 months?
Yes. That means that in every 5 years, teachers are on strike for 1 year.
What are the statistics?
If the government pretends not to know, they can go and cross-check the facts. It just tells you how bad it is. Now you're talking about call-up. The last time I also checked, 75% of Nigerian students who are meant to graduate, 75% of them graduate far beyond when they're supposed to leave the tertiary, the university system.
Yeah.
It just tells you how bad it is. So if any government is serious, they should be looking at the figures. It doesn't bode well at all. So I think we joke a lot. If a minister suggests to you that the reason he couldn't be part of meetings was because he was indisposed and was abroad, doesn't he have a deputy?
Or Minister of State?
Why would the system shut down? Because the substantive minister is away. So these are critical questions, and we have to be honest to ourselves as a people. Our education system is collapsing.
Babajide, now when we start after this phase of 1 month, should the federal government even wait for this 1 month warning strike to elapse before meeting their demand?
They should not even wait for 1 day. The notice was long enough. The strike was suspended in December 2000. We've had enough time to implement the memorandum of action. So we are talking about more than 1 year after that memorandum of action was signed. And there's no progress in the real sense of the word, because the demands that have been met have to do with visitation panel. ASU asked for visitation panels for universities. The government has met that. ASU also talked about even its wages that are outstanding. Government has done something along that line. But the issue of renegotiation of the wages of university lecturers and the enrollment from IPPIs are the two outstanding issues that they even want resolved. They are prepared to call off the strike if those two demands are met. If somebody comes to you, he has no less than 8, 9 demands, and he says, okay, just take 2 out of this, do 2 out of this, and we will have peace. It's the same situation that we face with the doctors. The doctors insisted on strike. They remained on strike until we called them and said, okay, the issue of hazard allowance, we are going to increase, and today those doctors are back at work. It appears like the only language that government understands is the language of strike. So. Strike naturally should be the last resort. But we have even abused it here. And I still think that even in terms of our labor laws, we are way behind South Africa when it comes to taking care of the interest of the worker. Some of the things that workers even tolerate in Nigeria, nobody can try it with them in South Africa. Nobody. I've seen here at ShopRite, people, they said that they were tired of casualization and being made to work every day of the week. And the next thing, because they were protesting, you brought soldiers, you brought policemen and chased them away. Nobody can try that in South Africa. Nobody can try that. This same grocery chain, I was in South Africa in 2005 when workers went on strike there. They had to sit and negotiate with them. But in our own case, because our system is loose and we are very weak, our labor ordinance is weak in our country, the next thing you brought policemen, you chased them away, and you brought in other people. Are ready to bring in other people.
Immediately.
Yes, because there's so much unemployment, yes.
Those ones are ready to
people on their own.
Any condition.
Yes.
Work 7 times.
In our country, people can afford to not pay workers for 8, 9 months, including even our own media environment.
Yes.
You leave people, leave their salaries unpaid for 8, 9 months. You do not see anything. You do not see anything wrong about that. You tell them to go and fend for themselves. If they like, they can steal your money. They can convert advert money to their salary. You don't mind. But you cannot try that in South Africa. Somebody tried to do it.
Yes.
He came back with tomatoes on his face. You can't do that. Labor laws over there. No, you don't mess with them. That is the strike capital of the world. South Africa is the strike capital of the world. At the slightest provocation, they are ready to go on strike. And you must bow to their demands.
Sam, when we look at even the remuneration of these lecturers, Professor, $500,000, less than $500,000, and a lot of people will look at it compared to that senator seated in the National Assembly or other House of Rep member with his fat allowances, that is not even encouraging to go into the education sector.
I don't think we should even start comparing, so that we don't remind ourselves of the, huge sums that our senators or our lawmakers, have openly, acknowledged that they take home, on a regular basis. It's what the pittance that lecturers get paid is a reflection of how serious or unserious, we take, education in the country. We just don't take it serious. Earlier I've alluded to, how we make light of everything, especially as it concerns, what we do to acquire knowledge. And we forget that today's world is about the knowledge economy. And we don't take it serious. And probably that's because, even those who are lucky to find themselves in positions of authority are not there because of capacity. All right? They're not there because of competence. They're there because they're just lucky to be there. And maybe that explains why we are not taking ourselves serious. So, Ayo, there are integrity gaps all over the place. And that is why, our lecturers are insisting that certain things must be done and done correctly. I mean, Jide talked about the visitation panel. What the teachers are asking for is the white paper, release of the white paper. The last time I checked, the report of the visitation panel was passed on to the Minister of Education in August last year. How unserious can we be? And then the panels to consider the reports were just put together last week, and the minister wants us to celebrate. It just shows that we are not serious about these things. Jide also said, talked about how much lecturers earn elsewhere. I don't have the figures, but you and I know that other countries of the world, the teaching profession is accorded very high, very high.
Yes.
Yeah, it occupies a very high place in the order of things.
A professor of 10 years standing.
I mean, you
does not end
probably
up to
500,000 naira,
400,000 something,
which is what probably one programmer somewhere takes home at the end of the month because of the knowledge he has. So we've got to take ourselves serious, and that is why we are losing. There's brain drain in the country. A lot of people, a lot of the lecturers who ordinarily should be back here, educating the young ones, are living in troves because they are going over to where they are appreciated, and we're going to live with that for a very long time. The standard is falling in most places. You go to universities, the faculties are almost empty, and that is because you don't even have the requisite. We don't have people with the requisite qualification to teach in those places. You find some schools managing master's degree holders as lecturers.
In the past, that foreign lecturers used to even come here to teach.
Yes,
of course.
But not anymore.
Cook. Anybody who belong to my generation and who went to University of Ilorin will remember some of our European teachers teaching modern European languages.
You find them nowadays.
Who to come and
what
do
are they
what?
coming to do?
With the IPPIS,
the salary is poor.
With the IPPIS thing, how will somebody come here, earn a salary, and then just go? No,
before we leave this topic, let's look at the proliferation of even the schools. Now it's like a trendy thing that all
just
states,
a political gimmick.
They want to have universities, federal universities across 36 states.
Yes.
Want to have it in
and you can't fund them properly,
and we cannot fund them.
State universities, they are even complaining. The complaint of ASU is mainly about state universities. When doctors went on strike the other day, they were complaining about doctors not being paid for up to 5 months or more in one state university in the east, the southeast.
Yes.
Because it's part of what we're talking about. You want to build state universities, but the funding, you don't have the funding. So standard is falling, and what universities are doing to make money is simply now to be giving people honorary doctorate and all that. Now we've gone to the ridiculous extent of even giving honorary professorship, something unheard of. So if I have tons of cash now, I can suddenly become a honorary professor.
Without being a teacher.
You can get it in weeks.
Without being a university,
you can get it in weeks.
So this is the thing. Because they need money, they need that funding. That funding gap. It's not every university that can be like Buni-led, that because of his his alumni is a very remarkable one. Yeah. They're able to attract funding from all multinationals. Yes. Even some of them on their own.
Yes.
Yeah,
even some of them, the distinguished ones among them can say, okay, we are building this hostel, we are building this, freshen up infrastructure in their school. Other universities don't have, a state university, how many of them have the kind of distinguished alumni of UNILAG, for example? It even takes years to get to that level. When are they going to get to that level? So the funding that UNILAG has access to especially under the current VC, other universities simply don't have it. That is a fact. So how do you run the university? by selling doctorate to crooked politicians and other people? Oh, no.
All right, and finally, in politics, never say never, because games can change course of an idea or events. The fates of the much anticipated National Convention of the All Progressive Congress, APC, is hanging in the air. This Monday, the party leadership notified the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, that its National Convention, earlier scheduled for February 26th, will no longer hold. Guests on Journalist Hangout had cast doubt over the possibility of holding the convention. Let's share that with you. Talk about the convention for the party fixed for February. Do you see this convention holding?
I've not seen any sign. Ideally, at the time you were choosing that date, that February, at that time you should have chosen the date. We cannot see preparations in place.
In fact,
conventions cost billions of naira to organize. I do not see the sign that a convention is about to take place. Let us tell ourselves the truth. Governors own the APC. Governors chased away Oshiomhole. Governors brought May Malabuni. Governors extended May Malabuni's tenure. Governors chose February as the date that this thing will happen. All of these things I'm saying, they are there, you can verify. If the governors are still, if from the signs that we are seeing, if the governors do not want the convention to take place,
Judy, as we said earlier, it's the same governors, they've stalled and they've frustrated that ambition to hold the convention. In TVC, we're also, getting ready how we're going to give this kind of elaborate coverage.
I knew that getting ready was a waste of time. I swear to God. I knew it was a waste of time. There are certain things that we can't say on air that we know. But every time we step out of this place, I will tell you they will not do it. We step out, I will tell you, you will not do it. This is what we have seen.
Because as of last week, it was reported that some governors went to go and see Mr. President.
The meeting, they didn't
eventually did not hold and everything. They want to appeal to Mr. President. But the Governor Opus of Dima came out and said, we have the right to determine when we are going to do.
You have the right to postpone.
Postpone, yeah.
So he was the one with the Ayagbangba to come and say it.
Hinting us.
Yes.
For those of us who don't understand,
yes, he's the one with the chest.
The big chest.
The big chest to say it. But that has always been. Look at our friend Lukman. He had been complaining.
Yes, the Director General.
Yes, it was on January 9 that we were on this program, and I said, I do not see the signs that these governors want a convention to take place. And to me, when you want to do a convention, you are going to set up committees. There are some subcommittees that will take care of some rules. Then at the time they said they were going to do convention in February, they didn't put a date to it.
One?
That was one of the signs
to stop
that I got, that these guys. Then when Asiwaju went to see the president, one of the things that the president told him was that convention would take place.
He assured him that.
Yes, he assured him that convention would take place. Now, May Malabuni now came out after that to give a date. Some of you were a bit convinced that, okay, having given a date
in the party program,
that it probably will take place. Where I was laughing because I knew they would not do convention. What they want to do, what these governors want to do, what they want to see, is that the convention and the presidential primaries should take place the same day. That is what they want. That is what they want. That is what they are moving towards. They want the convention and the presidential primaries the same day. Their argument is that it's extremely expensive. Who will bring the money? And they are the ones who fund the party. So their own argument is, how can we do this, spend all that money, then come back after a few months to do the presidential primaries, which will also cost so much money. So that was the argument. Perhaps they had other underlying
agenda
motives, but that is the way they were thinking. That
and these governors is like they don't want the main Malabuni committee.
They also want, the second thing is, they want May Malabuni. They are comfortable with him. I told you back then that, look, a lot of the people want to head the party. They are even National Assembly members. There is a kind of Cold War between the National Assembly and some governors on account of National Assembly trying to impose direct primaries, which the governors felt would take away some of the privileges that they used to have.
Let me pause you there. Sam, I don't know what is in the convention. Why is it difficult? The intrigues, the interests within the People's Democratic Party. Even the chairman, even the chairman of the People's Democratic Party had said it last year that, look, wait till APC have their convention, till we know where we are going to. And it's seeing that, look, this party, they are afraid that, look, if they sit down to hold this convention, that party might implode.
There have always been concerns. You know, you talked about what is in the convention. It's about how you share power. And that's the ultimate thing. Where else do you want to sit and allocate who is going to be where? It's at the convention. And because there are unresolved issues, that is why the interim leadership, let me use that word, is marking time. There are deep-seated, crises. We must admit that. I mean, we all saw it coming. I mean, if you have a convention and you don't have subcommittee set up, what are you expecting?
You're not even selling forms.
People for aspirants. You have to even the zoning arrangement has to be in place.
Yes.
Before that, so that those contesting will know.
We know that it has been streamlined to this zone.
So the moment you didn't see any sign that the party at zone positions, it should be clear to you that there is no plan to do a convention.
So, but I think one thing we must admit here is that the really not progressive Congress, many agree, was more like, and it still is, a special purpose vehicle put together to capture power. Those tendencies within APC are still there. Okay, so the pushing and shoving that you see is that struggle for which section of that party.
Well, since 2013, it's almost 10 years now. How long are they going to carry on?
Yeah, those manifestations you are seeing in the absence of a BOT, in the absence of a National Working Committee and all that stuff, that is what is happening. The ACN, the CPC, the ABGA, the ANPP, the new PDP, and that tussle is quietly going on.
Within those groups, and I said it in that during that program that they just within CPC itself, within ACN,
you still have
we have divisions. We have divisions.
So until those interests are properly aligned,
see,
you won't
Darazo,
find a consensus.
The Attorney General, the Minister of Education, they are all part of the old CPC. Who is going to tell me now that these three individuals are on the same page? Except people who don't know them.
As the Minister of Education,
yes,
and the Attorney General,
yes, and Darazo, one of the president's most trusted people.
So, in fact, the postponement is like finding time to resolve this matter outside the convention.
Malabuni is convinced that if they do a convention now, the party will break up, and he does not want that to happen during his time, because he is convinced that he's done his best to make the party stronger. That if they go into a convention, everything will collapse on his head, and they will blame him.
That's what everybody remembers.
Well, I don't know. The president, there was a report that I saw where the president said, okay, get me a security report ahead of this convention. I think I told you about 3 days ago, that when you ask for a security report, that means you are minded to believe it when they give it to you. So if they tell him that this is something that will happen if we go ahead with this, you think the president will allow the convention? I mean, it's just logical. If he asks for security reports,
But it's as if it's the governors alone that are pushing for, postponement of the convention.
The governors, majority of them.
There's some other party leaders that they want this convention.
Yes, but the governors are more powerful than everybody. That is a fact. When some of us have been pushing that these parties should return to the ordinary people, that during the Awolowo years, governors didn't run the party like this. Parties did not belong to governors. This is what we are saying. Whatever the governors don't want, nobody can make it happen. So this is the thing. And the truth is, they are comfortable with Mai Mala Buni, and they want him to be the one that will be there when they are going to have those primaries. Is the one that they have their faith on. They trust him absolutely. Most of the governors, a governor, you may see a governor may appear like, oh, he believes in social conscience, he's supporting what the ordinary party man does. When it comes to this issue, of their interest, that's where you see a different animal. This is the way they are. The average governor sees Mai Mala Buni as the person who should continue, because when those primaries come, they think that he's the one who will allow their interest to crystallize. Now, a lot of the people who are contesting for chairman, the governors don't even want them.
Yes.
Some of them are National Assembly members. There is already that Cold War, because National Assembly members pushed aggressively for direct primaries, to the point that even when governors called them to a meeting, they stayed away. So they are there. I just hope that all of these things ultimately won't hurt the party badly and push some people to start thinking of a plan B or something, because I don't think governors should exercise this much influence in a party.
Once again, they've postponed the convention. Before we were even hearing that, they might be forced to postpone it for 2 weeks.
Right.
But what we have now, it's
indefinite. It's indefinite. That tells you that
it's fine,
even the party leadership is unsure of themselves.
No, they know what they are doing.
Do you understand?
They know what they are doing. I'm telling you.
the issue here is nobody wants, or the party leadership, the current party leadership doesn't want to preside over a breakup. All the signals are there. Jide has talked about the security reports, and the ruling party wouldn't want to lose power. And the beginning of a perceived loss of power will come at this stage. Because if you can't manage your internal crisis,
that's where the PDP.
Do you understand? If you can't manage your internal crisis, it means that you can't be ready for the ultimate elections in 2023. And so the party leadership
is less than a year now.
Yes.
February 18th.
So a lot of things are in the mix. And the president, I'm sure, is being very careful not to take steps that can lead to serious implosion within the party.
That day, we asked our friend Deji, do you think if the governors insist, what do you think the president will do? As I expected, Deji said the president appears to have given these governors the leeway to run the party. That if the governors insist, the president will go with them. That's what we have seen. That's what we have seen, because I was told that the president told Mai Mala Buni that do whatever you think is right to save this party from collapse. So when you get that kind of mandate, do whatever it takes. It's a blank check to say, okay, I'm not holding convention until October.
And that's it.
By that time, the primaries of the smaller positions will have taken place. I think primaries August or so, National Assembly primaries will have taken place under Mai Mala Buni's leadership, and then they will come for the presidential.
Big one.
Yes, that is the plan, that they want to do them the same time.
Okay, Sam Bebe, thank you.
Thank you, Ayo.
Mr. Babajide Kolade Otitoju, we have to leave it there. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight. Join us as journalists hangout on Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Zubaku. Bye for now.